All right, I now see that we're streaming. So we look good, Tim?
It's setting up. All right, go for it.
All right, so calling the Recreation Commission meeting to order on Tuesday, September 8th at 6:12 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions for the open meeting law, the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Recreation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting information at the town website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recordings of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. And in attendance, we have David Nixon, Jen Hansen, Kristen LaVault, and then from Recreation, we have Tim Davis and Alexandra Officer. So first on our meeting agenda was the meeting minutes. So I don't know if you were able to find them, Kristen, or if we want to push that to the end.
Yeah, just move forward and
okay.
I'll send those out right in a minute.
Okay. So then next up on our agenda, so Tim, just the general department programming updates.
Sure. So I'm going to let Alex kind of take this on the program piece of it, just so that she can tell us what's going on and then answer any questions, and then she can go enjoy her evening. So I will turn it over to her.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I guess kind of the updates that we have, we post our after school programs for each cohort A and B, and then the online classes, and then we ended up adding some standalone remote programs that are all off-site. Registration has been open since last Friday. There are some, I won't lie, that are not doing well. Had a couple conversations with some vendors today, and they're kind of concerned that it's because their programs are off-site, not on-site at schools. Kind of told them I just think it's parents that are nervous. We just have to kind of wait and see. I do think if we had more weeks in between the start of school and Thanksgiving, I think we could have pushed off RAP for at least a week or two and let the kids get back into school, see how it goes. I think we would have gotten more registrations that way, but since it's very time sensitive, we pushed it out on Friday. And I mean, like Tim mentioned earlier, there's some that are filling quite well, then there's some that are not. Our preschool programs are doing pretty well. Some of the offsite ones are doing well, and a couple of the sports ones are doing well.
So to date, just so you know, numbers wise, we have 110 registrations to date. So probably looking about half right now may run. So, but I mean, we still have another week at least for registrations. So hopefully we'll have some last minuters like a normal season, and we'll see a little uptick.
I think considering COVID and all the working from home parents, I mean, not a bad first run at it in this new world we live in. So as people get more comfortable, hopefully as time goes on.
Just as a matter of information, which of the programs are the ones with the least amount of activity?
Honestly, there's a good amount of them. Our
Really?
martial arts program that normally is booming has 0 registrations.
Wow.
I'm sorry, which one was that?
Martial arts.
Oh, well, yeah.
Finn basketball usually has 20 kids signed up. I don't think it doesn't have many. It has 2.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the number we're capping it at is 8, but I was telling Tim that normally we're up to like 300 registrations, and we're very low. And normally the classes, like the STEM classes, which I get are online now, but normally it's kind of a fight for your spot, and we're not really having that right now.
It really isn't too surprising, I don't think, considering the extraordinary times that we're in.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But I also think there's parents like myself who want to do some of the online ones. And honestly, it's just been such a whirlwind that I haven't sat down and really looked at it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get some last second people who finally get their act together like me. So hopefully.
Yeah, and we'll do another push for it, obviously, probably towards the weekend, in hopes to capture that group. So we'll see. We didn't know what to expect going into it. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you do have another session after Thanksgiving, right? Yeah. And I also wonder if, like, I mean, my kids also usually do rap, and we're currently not signed up for any raps. Part of it is because I'm just delaying trying to figure out what it's going to look like this fall, and may find out that, okay, well, we could use this, or we'll send them to rap or something like that. So you may also find the second sessions better once people understand what their lives are going to look like. So.
Yeah, the second session will be late October up until Thanksgiving. And then
Okay.
when Thanksgiving comes, I think we're going to end up having to stop, basically because of the weather, depending on COVID.
True.
You know, where we are now, we can start sending them off site if we really want to, but we won't be able to hold anything at the schools. It would just be too cold.
Yep.
Any other programming questions?
Yes.
All right,
Not that I can think of.
that was easy.
Yeah.
No, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, again, 110 is really, I know what to expect, like you said. So I think it's pretty good.
Then as the week goes on, I'll shoot you all an update then, just how our numbers are doing, since we probably won't all chat before that. All right.
Sounds good.
So,
All right, Alex, thank you.
thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye, guys.
All right, permit rental update. So we're actually doing really good. I finalized soccer's today. They were a little all over the place starting late. Obviously, I'm sure you guys know. But I spoke with Steve for a while, Steve Devine, and we nailed down everything. So soccer's confirmed. That's going to help us financially, 9/11 wise. That's a good chunk. So let's hope, you know, Triple E and everything kind of stays okay, and we can get a good piece of the season in. Girls softball is confirmed with 2 teams at Choate. So that'll be new down there at that field. Small amount, but still good to see them out there fielding a couple teams. Laxachusetts out on 9/11 is confirmed for their fall dates. They're doing pretty much every Wednesday until early November. Central Lacrosse, who we kind of took on from St. Mark's, is going to stick with us through the fall on Sundays up at Lundblad. Their stuff was confirmed today as well. So that's an extra than what we usually have. So that was really good. And then we have 2 additional men's leagues who are taking the spot of Sunday leagues who couldn't field teams this go around. So better than I anticipated with the fall. We'll get the final numbers obviously in a couple of weeks when everything is completely confirmed, but we're pretty much good to go. I think all the permits that have come in have been processed, so that's pretty much what we're looking at for the fall. But again, better than I anticipated, so we're good with that.
What was the change? I'm sure I should perhaps recall this, but why did St. Mark's give up the lacrosse that they had?
St. Mark's, they're not opening their fields to outside groups until.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're really insulating themselves. I'm not surprised, just with all the
Yeah.
kids. So. Any other questions on fields?
DePietri opens, right? Soon?
DePietri, yep. The contractor came back on Friday to take a look. Everything's perfect. They're going to start gradually cutting the grass down. Spoke to DPW about that. So we're looking at the 21st to, I think the fences will come down the 18th. And then I told soccer they can get on it the 21st. They're going to be mainly using it for makeup games from talking to Steve. So they won't line it right away, but we'll work with him to see exactly when he needs it. But looks like the week of the 21st, and that was a good goal because that's when the kids are back in school in case they got to get out or the gym teachers are able to do something. So
That's great.
but it's going to open, so it's good. Came out beautiful. It just looks great. So happy about it.
Okay. And I can't remember if we talked about this last time, but we're not having a fall meeting, so we can't vote on the CPC funding for Calander, which means it goes in April, which means we can't start anything in Calander till at best next July, right? I got that down.
Correct. Yep.
I had one other question, but I totally forgot it. Oh, one thing, and it might just be for our next agenda item, or I just can't remember if we've actually discussed it with you, Tim, but last soccer season, we had a really hard time with the lights. The neighbors got really upset at times, understandably so. And I know we've discussed it a lot here. I just can't recall, where we kind of left things on how we can improve that.
So the plan when they need lights, it's going to be a little while until they're out there when it gets dark. So our software that we have now with MyRec has a direct link up with Musco. So what we will do is we will actually program the lights through the MyRec software. So we'll manage it completely. So it will only turn on when there are groups on that field. So we kind of hold the key to it finally on and off, but it'll be somewhat automatically controlled from our system as we enter dates into our calendar. So hopefully that will take away the issues.
I think one of our biggest issues was when people decided not to use it.
Right. Yeah.
How we enforce that.
Yeah. I think we can. I think that's hard for us to enforce. If they just don't show up, they don't show up unless they tell us. We can definitely enforce it at a certain time of night that they go off. But hopefully, we'll have a conversation with soccer and make that very clear to let us know it's not hard to shut off. It's not hard to cancel the schedule. So just a simple email or call straight to me, take care of that. So hopefully when we get to that point in the season, that could just be a conversation in hopes we can get to.
Okay.
Okay. I think then, so moving on in our agenda, we had updates on projects in process. So both Mooney and the Neary lighting and then the Fayetteville basketball court.
Right. So Fayetteville's the easy one. The goal was mid-month for DPW to start prepping down for the basketball court. I have not heard differently. I'm going to see Chris tomorrow for another little cleanup thing down at one of the playgrounds. So I will pick his brain at that. But we were told this month it will be done. So I'll have more of an idea on that tomorrow. The lighting, unfortunately, is not the easy conversation tonight. So our lighting package that was submitted last week to be put on the next planning board agenda was rejected by planning. The short of it is that the electrical plans did not line up exactly. I'll say my spiel on it. The electrical plans did not line up exactly to what the site plan showed when it came to placement. That was something we knew going into it relatively. We knew there were some small adjustments that needed to be made. However, due to the time constraint that we kind of were made more aware of it, and when we were able to put a revised package in, we did not have the time with the electrical engineer to get that going. Our electrical engineer, when it rains, it pours. When it comes to when you need things done, he was not available due to some personal reasons to make things done. So our approach on it was that we knew most likely that was going to be flagged, but flagged by the third-party reviewer that the planning board sends the packages to. because the plan and which was explained to us is we would submit our package. Fuss & O'Neill, who's the bidded contractor for the town, would then take it. They would go through it. They would make their notes and suggestions. They would then send it back to me and Art. We would then make the revisions, and that would give us one last stab at revising before we actually went in front of planning. Unfortunately, that was not the process that was followed that we were led to believe. The chair of the planning board and the planner made the decision before anything to dismiss it. So they have pushed us once again. So September 24th is going to be our new submittal, and that will now push us out to October 19th as our hearing. So I still need to speak to Art on everything. He is aware, obviously, that they're of this issue, but I'm not happy. I'm I'm extremely frustrated, as I thought we were right where we needed to be. I didn't anticipate them kind of jumping the process that I believed was in place, that we had the chance to correct things. So that worked against us, and unfortunately, I think the process in which Choate was done and the mistakes that were made at that point are working against us. I think there's still from what I heard, I don't know, people don't forget, I guess we'll say that. And so there is an effort, it seems, for us to put our best foot forward, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, I think it's important for them to recognize the pressures that we have to get this going, not to mention it's been, 2 or 3 years. So I had a good conversation, a very open conversation with Karina. She was understanding of our viewpoint. I was somewhat understanding of her viewpoint. So Art and I, all we need to do is fix that electrical, and that's what I was told today. So we're going to do that, and we're going to resubmit, and then October is going to be our hearing. So,
which presumably means that our, construction's not happening this year. So, is there any risks or anything that can be gained, or any opportunities to further push this back by having that delay? Like, I'm just thinking contractually. All of a sudden the project gets more expensive because now we're going into 2021 and the economy is going to continue to, well, who knows what's going to happen, right? Depends on November. But do you think this extra time puts the project even at more risk at this point?
I honestly don't know. I don't know what things are going to look like. I don't know the challenges that are going to be consumed by Musco and the companies and the lighting and the shipping and the production and everything of that nature. Hopefully, so I think best case scenario on the table is October, we get the approval. And still we're looking at 11 to 12 weeks. We're going to be in winter. We're going to lose that construction season. So that is what it is. I think realistically, we're probably going to get approval in November. If I were a betting man, I'm sure the first meeting, they're going to make some suggestions and have us go back and tweak things. Just historically with all planning projects in town, it seems it takes about 2 meetings. So my guess is we're looking at spring. Ideally, we'd be looking early spring before it's a full thaw, so the ground's a little hard. Should be a little easier to pour the foundations and things like that. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't think we can really project, if prices are going to go up, if anything's going to happen. We're going to go out to bid and we're going to get what we get, and hope for the best. So
when would we go out for bid? Just conscious that if all of a sudden we need more money, we at least have that. Oh, never mind, because the warrant is done way before then.
Mhm.
I was just thinking about town meeting and if we need to request more funding, but
yeah, I would go out to bid immediately. I'd get it on the street immediately, because that would give us the opportunity. If it comes back high, we can go kind of like we did with the Petrie.
yeah.
Afford us some time to get a couple if needed. We have some contingency with the CPC articles, so I think that could help us a little bit. But it's a big question mark. I don't think anybody really knows what this coming construction season is going to look like, just because of everything going on right now.
Right.
So, I don't know. So I wish, again, and I apologize. I wish I had a better update for you. We felt really confident. I'm sure you could hear how confident I was last go round. So maybe I jinxed myself, but it is what it is. And we will keep playing the game and we'll, keep fixing and keep submitting, and eventually we'll get there.
Is baseball, did you tell baseball yet?
Not yet. I know the selectmen are aware because Brian Shea was in Mark Purple's office when Karina went down to chat with him. So he is aware, but I have not made anybody else aware. I still need to do that. That'll be done at least by tomorrow. Latest tomorrow in the morning.
I don't think you need to apologize to us. We feel bad
No, for sure.
Yeah.
what you've gone through with this. Sure, you can't wait for it to be done.
A little bit.
Yeah, I feel like the part that's really frustrating and challenging is that like we started these conversations last spring and made it really clear that we wanted a partnership and be able to work through this. And the fact that it feels like or you and Art had been led to believe all along that things are going well and it would be approved. Like we were kind of led to believe back in August that it would be approved. And I feel like all these things just keep pushing us back and back. And I feel like it's very disappointing to hear that now they're stepping outside of their normal process and rejecting it before it even goes to the third party. And also if something like, if like the two aren't matching up and it's off by like a matter of feet or so, that it's too bad that we can't recognize that and share that we already know that with a third party, but you still have the third party do their review so that we have ample time to be prepared to actually go to the planning board. So like, I don't know if there's a great way for our commission to be able to provide that feedback directly back to the Board of Selectmen or what the process really should be, but it does feel like that we've raised this and we've come to the table, we've started over, like literally started over, and hired and been paying out of pocket for Art Eddie and all this time, and to still get to this point, and it kind of feels like a little bit of a slap on the back of the hand for stuff that I don't think any of us was even on the commission back when Choate was being done. And like whole new process.
Yeah, I mean, there was a suggestion too, Jen, that you reach out or set up a time with Don to speak directly.
Okay.
The planning board just to talk to him, I think openly about it. That was a recommendation from the town manager. So I don't think it could hurt. It's just a matter if you want to take that on.
Does the town administrator understand or have the same sense, or, I mean, was he frustrated?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think he comes to it, you know, I'm not going to speak for him obviously, but you know, he always talks about how this seems to always be kicked down the road more and more and more and more. And he recognizes it's been, years and years, and he just wants it done as well, because, I think he gets pressures just as much as we do. So I gave him my 2 cents on it. He spoke to Karina about it and got her side of it. So he's been very involved in the conversation. So he's kind of seen everything unfold the last couple of weeks. So he's very much plugged in.
All right. I can take that action then to reach out to Don. Okay. So next up on the agenda we had was, Kristen, I know you attended the master plan committee meeting. Didn't know if you had an update there you could share with us.
Sure. And Jen, just side note, I fully blame Roblox for taking over my camera. So I admittedly, I jumped in kind of late. I had another commitment that, work commitment. And so kind of came in as they were probably more towards the latter half of their meeting. I'll admit, I didn't really take notes. It was my first meeting. I was listening in almost as a guest because obviously I'm not part of that committee. But it was funny because I used Tim's link. So at some point they were talking about, the importance to have recreations input, a little bit about the long-term goals and how they may facilitate that. But it's funny because then they said in I think it was Sam who said, I'm glad to see Tim's joined us. And I had to have that awkward moment to be like, hey, it's Kristen. I hope it's okay. I'm here. It was a public forum, so it was fine. No big takeaways other than they really want recreation participation, and we really want to participate, especially, as we look down the road to some of the, bigger ticket items, I guess you hope we see. So not a huge takeaway other than, Jen working with you to figure out how we officially get back on to that committee.
Yeah, so I think, I made some progress on there. So the recommendation right now is that that commission or that committee has been having a hard time meeting quorum because it's such a large group. So the quorum actually is quite high. So as a result, they actually have reduced the seats on it and to be able to actually meet and make progress. So the recommendation coming back from the chair of that committee was that right now Tim has a seat on it. The recommendation would be to say change Tim's non-voting seat back to the Recreation Commission seat. So that would be what we had voted you into, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to raise it to see if anyone has any questions or concerns with taking Tim off the official list and putting Kristen on instead.
Nope.
Okay. So I can get back to them tonight then and let them know that we're okay and we're willing to go ahead with that. And I believe we technically need the Board of Selectmen to appoint you, Kristen, to that committee.
Okay.
Even though we already took the vote back in July.
Okay. So we already voted, so we don't need to vote again. Okay.
I don't think we need to. Yep. Okay.
That's something you want me to check in with Selectman's office to confirm? So we can get it on an agenda, or?
Yeah, or I guess I can, that email chain I think you're already on, Tim, I can write back and ask them, confirm that yes, we're willing to do this, and then, yeah, probably we need to figure out how to get on the agenda. So if you want to take that, that would be helpful. Yep. Okay. So I know next thing we had on our list was the field permit application. Oh wait, sorry, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yes.
Field permits.
Yeah.
Tim? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, this was to approve the updated one.
Oh, gotcha. That's right.
I've admittedly not been able to get to it between RAP and
Okay.
everything. So still working on it. We don't have anything new coming in, so we got time, but I'm going to try to do these by next meeting.
Okay. So we'll
Is
just
that
move it
just
to
the 9/11? Is that the 9/11 updates? We found the 2019 version. Okay.
Yeah, and adding some stuff to the grass ones. Yep.
Okay, so I'll move that to the next agenda then. Next on my list, I have the 9/11 bond payment.
Yep. Yeah, okay, so I had a conversation with Brian Ballantyne. He reached out to me regarding the bond payment for the field. He wanted to know kind of what shape we were in and what we could spare to put towards it. I kind of explained that we're in a pretty, I won't say dire situation, but we're nowhere near what we usually take in right now, between what we lost in the spring, between last fall with Triple E, and then again, just heading into this fall at that time, which was last week, early the week before, not knowing where we were going to be. So the determination was to the bond payments for, I don't have an exact number, but I will get to it. I will hopefully get it. Would be that the payments for the next year or two would be extremely small, about 4,000 to 5,000 to meet what we need to meet. And then after that, so FY22 probably would increase once again in hopes that we are at capacity again every single season, bringing in a good amount of money. This did spark the conversation with me and Jen briefly. Don, I don't know if you can weigh in on this. I guess when Doreen was here, there was a proposed schedule for payments, potentially, of ideally what we could.
Do you remember,
save.
like, yeah, I was telling Tim that we had I know I took a crack at it, then I thought you might have taken a second pass at basically predicting out like what are the bond payments, what are we taking in, and then how do we build back this reserve to be able to reinvest back in the turf when we need to.
So
To see if we could make this self-sustaining.
I don't recall seeing it. However, my expectation would be that it absolutely exists. You typically would have a bond amortization schedule with any bond, right? And you can, it's predictable, it's math. What's the interest rate? What's the, and so I'd expect that would be something that Brian might even have because he's probably paying off of it. And so if we got our hands on that, then what he's probably doing is he's taking the information from Tim and saying, okay, Tim can give us X. He's going to have to cover the difference. And then he's figuring out, all right, when do I get that back? Almost think of it as sort of like a receivable back to him because they're fronting the money for the field. As you figure that, as you sort of know that, then you can, what you're describing, Jen, back into what you need to actually pull in for revenue to accomplish it. So it's just algebra.
Yeah. Okay. I just didn't know if you had, I know I had personally created a version. I think it was before you joined, and I wasn't sure if that was one of the things you might have worked with Doreen on or not. Okay.
I did not.
My other thought is that like this should be something simple enough that we could now build. I think it sounds like Brian doesn't have that spreadsheet that was initially drafted, but we should be able to kind of look backwards and recreate what's been done and then come up with some sort of plan. And then also understand what we can start saving to reinvest back in new turf when the time comes.
So I wonder if the only other consideration I'd have is if we thought about some of the folks that worked on getting the field approved, whether they would have had, theoretically, that would have been part of the sort of the game plan, right? So does the field generate enough revenue to support the bond service payments that are required, right? We know that we know that the lease, the quote unquote lease of the field of the actual acreage is covered, right? There's the money that goes in and out, so that's not an issue. So really, it's about how much was borrowed and at what interest rate over what time period, and you're basically you pay back your interest and your principal over that time, and you should know. I actually don't even know how much we borrowed, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's probably something that we could like maybe Tim, if you want to start that conversation with Brian, with Don and I, we can figure out how to rebuild whatever that was. And honestly, what I had built was not super sophisticated. It was an analytical view. It was not an accounting view. So I think that's where
honestly,
I'd welcome your
and your analytical view is going to be pretty straightforward. So if they borrowed $500,000 and they have a $10-year bond, then simple math is $50,000 a year. Obviously, it doesn't work that way because of time value money and whatnot. But it's once we have the components, it's a very easy calculation to back into, and then we can validate that against. It might prove out that we need to charge more for the fields to help close the gap, or it might prove out that in my world you try to plan for a bad year out of every 5, right? So if you're doing a 5-year model, you assume one of those 5 years is going to be a bad year, and maybe we had room in the 10-year, if it's a 10-year bond, maybe we had room in that math to have a bad year, and obviously we've had it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I can look and see if I can find any of the old files. I'm not sure if I had them, but we can move forward on redoing that. Because I think then it would also be nice for us to be able to know like what is even the town signing up to pay for, how much can we contribute, and then what does this look like? Rather than, I know last year going into town meeting, this caused a little bit of a flurry of conversation because money was looking to be moved from that to cover the bond payments, but we didn't realize it was happening in lump sum. So I think this is also Brian following up on our ask of, can we plan this? Can we be more thoughtful about what we're doing? So
yeah, I'd hope at the end of the day, Brian would have, a debt amortization schedule. It'd be a basic piece of paper that anyone in that type of function would have to be able to say, okay, here's my payments. And then off to the side, theoretically, he would be able to say, and I've drawn X from the 9/11 fund, and I have funded Y from the town, and so therefore, we're already owed Y, and what is your ability to pay in the short term here, and then what else, will you need to cover in the future?
Yep. Okay. I think that would be good. All right, so Tim, you can take that action just to start that
Yep,
conversation.
reach out to him tomorrow. Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, 10-minute warning, then we gotta get off.
Okay. I know, so I had on the agenda discussing like our CPC board seat, but I also know that Dave Cantella is going to BOS tonight for his reappointment to the commission, and I actually believe that they would be the ones to actually appoint him to CPC as well. So I had that on here because I wasn't sure if we had to vote, but we will not take that one. We'll wait and see if Board of Selectmen do that for us tonight. So actually, I think the only other thing on our list and then our agenda for tonight actually is just, Kristen, I don't know if you were able to find those meeting minutes for us to approve.
Yeah, you guys should have them.
I received them.
Okay.
I am.
So
Yep.
we're going to take a minute to read through those so we can get them approved.
You know that's on Jen.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions on the minutes. I think they look reasonable.
One administrative note, I did not record the time we adjourned, so unless somebody else has that, we could approve it conditionally, and I'll go back and look at the recording and find out what time we adjourned.
I might actually have that in my. I also see we need to add when we started too.
Oh. So again, I'm happy to go back to I know we started late, but I didn't know precisely when, and I didn't want to, obviously given that there's a video, I could go back and look at it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll have to go back and just check that and add those times. Or I can't find my notes at the moment.
Okay, I'll go back. That's easy enough, right? We have a start and a stop time.
Yep. All right, so Tim, can we just approve them on the condition that she watched the video, right? That's fine, right? I feel like
Yep.
it's not.
I'd motion to approve.
Second.
Dumont, yes.
Okay. Hanson, yes.
Kristen, yes.
Nixon, yes.
All right. So we're all set there. Anything else that people want to raise?
I wish I just asked this during the programming, and more so for the next meeting. And that's just as we move into the winter season, I'm sure like everybody, a little bit more concerned about the mental health impact as days get shorter, and we face the flu season and potentially full remote from home, hopefully not. So just curious, how Alex is thinking about that from a programming perspective.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on indoor space. We've already started that conversation with the schools about getting access inside. It's all going to depend on what happens. I think with the school year, there's conversation. The schools are very much in support because they understand the need of the kids to get the physical exercise. That was made very clear, because the biggest thing looking at it is basketball, getting basketball in. But what's that going to look like? Is that going to be allowed? Where we're going to be at that point in time? So we're already starting those conversations. we're thinking about skiing and things like that, how that's going to look. We're not the only department. I know a lot of our crew in the region is already thinking winter. So we're on it, but again, like every other time, we're talking to schools every single week.
Yeah.
The only reason we've been able to be successful so far with this programming is speaking to the schools and making sure they're on board and what we can do. So we're just continue those conversations, and hopefully we'll have a better answer come October-ish. I would hope.
I think you need to find an alternate indoor sport beyond basketball. I don't know what one would be, but we should start thinking about backup plans, because I think if you ran a survey now, you probably wouldn't get a lot of people interested in that one.
Yeah, unfortunately. To be determined.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it, Jen.
All right. Then I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:52 p.m.
I second. Or Laval seconds, I guess.
So we do a roll call vote. So Hanson, yes.
Dumont, yes.
Nixon, yes?
Laval, yes.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks
Hey,
as always, Tim.
Hey, Kristen,
Yeah.
quick question, non-board related. Do you have any need for size for soccer ball equipment?
Yes, actually, I do.
I have my daughter's made it up to size 5. And so I have a bag of